What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Wednesday, May 11th edition of the NHL Playoff VOD. I am your host, Josh Harris. You can find me on the Twitter machine at JRH002 DFS. As always, we are sponsored by Prize Picks. It is a prop-based contest. You can go check that out at Prize Picks if you're in a legal state. And if you use promo code Awesemo, they will give you a 100 first match deposit bonus, and Awesemo will give you a free month of Awesemo plus Platinum. But you gotta deposit, and then after you use promo code Awesemo to make a deposit, you'll receive an email within 24 to 48 hours after to redeem your free month of Awesemo plus Platinum. Definitely a great deal. You should check that out. Also, if you're into more of the betting stuff, which Prize Picks kind of is, it's prop based. You can check out the Odd Shopper channel. We have an NHL Best Bets video up there for tonight. You should check that out. So today, we have a 3-game slate because the Avs swept the Preds and they're not in. We have, Pittsburgh going back to New York with a 3-1 lead here. And then the Panthers and Capitals back in Florida tied at 2. And the Stars and Flames back in Calgary tied at 2. So important games here. Rangers looking to avoid elimination, and now the Panthers, Caps, and the Flames Stars are down to best of 3 series. So 3-game slate, the strategy isn't much different than a 4-game slate. That being said, like in the last Rangers slate I talked about, I wasn't a huge fan of stacking Pittsburgh against Igor. On these 3-gamers, I think you can get away with a skater or 2 against your goalie. And just hope that, the goalie gets the saves bonus. They won't kill you if you get the saves bonus and win, and you get the goal against the goalie. I had that happen on a 2-gamer on an early slate this season where I ended up winning the $8 or whatever it was. I had the only goal against my goalie. So it can work. 4-gamer, I try to stay away with it. 3 and under, you definitely can take some skaters against your goalie. So let's get into this slate here. We have the Pittsburgh Penguins with a 2.9 total. Going into New York, the Rangers have a 3.2 total. I was a bit surprised at this total for the Penguins because Igor has looked very shaky the last few games. 2.9 on the road is still pretty solid total here. And the Pittsburgh top line is just absolutely just dominated. Any line the Rangers put out there now with the Rangers at home, that top line will see the Fox-Braun matchup, which is good for the Rangers. Pitt 1 can avoid, the Rangers can avoid putting out the Nemeth-Schneider pair against Pitt 1, which has been easily the worst pair on the Rangers so far this year, or this series. Hopefully Lindgren comes back healthy tonight, but as it is in the playoffs, news is very limited, so we go off what we got. And we do that. So Pittsburgh 1 definitely in play for me. I do like Igor. Again, he's 7,800 at home. He's cheap at home. And, despite him being playing very poorly recently, he did have he probably had the best goalie season in the league this year. So, the other game he was bad, but I can't be like, oh, he's going to be bad again because of it. So I'm probably going back to Igor. That being said, Pitt 1 has been excellent. I think there is a lot of merit to going back to them. Brian Rust's price is still down under 6K on DraftKings, so it's not going to – the price isn't going to be too bad. They're a tiny bit over 20K on DraftKings, but I think that is perfectly fine. They've been in the 22s at points this season. Going down the Pittsburgh lineup, if you want to go to Pitt 2, I think that's fine. I'm not a huge fan. I think Malkin is fine to add in or as a one-off, or if you want to add in like a Danton Heinen for some salary relief. But for me, it's going to be Pitt 1. And on the Rangers side, it's going to be a power play stack. Vetrano got benched pretty much in the last game. We'll see where he is in the lineup. His minutes, if he starts poorly, are a concern. So I'm probably going to go like Zibanejad, Kreider, Panarin, and add in Fox or something like that. Mix and match some power play guys. Also, if you need, a cheap filler, if you're looking to like power play stack the Flames or Florida or something like that, you can go Hedel Lafreniere or Hedel Kakko, something like that. Very cheap 2-man. And I think that's fine. Realistically, I hope the Rangers win this game, but my expectations are fairly low, but hopefully it's a good game, and whatever happens, happens. On the blue line, I do like Adam Fox. I like Jacob Trouba. And then on the pit side, it's going to be just Letang, really. We'll see if Dumoulin's back. If he's out still, I think you can punt with Mike Matheson, but that's really about it. If you want to punt on the Rangers side, probably Justin Braun, or if Lindgren's back in, it would be Ryan Lindgren. So let's move to the second game of the night. We have the Washington Capitals with a 2.7 total heading into Florida. The Panthers have a 3.9 total. This series is tied at 2 after Carter Verhaeghe scored the overtime goal in Game 4 to tie up the series. It was a huge goal. Now, the Panthers at morning skate this morning had Verhaeghe, Barkov, Duclair, Huberdeau, Bennett, Giroux, and then Lundell, Reinhart, Maxime Mammon. Now, those weren't the lines last game. They weren't the lines the game before that. So I'm taking every Panthers line with a grain of salt here. I don't really know what to expect. I don't know. Bruno's been mixing it up a lot, so not really sure what to expect here. So probably just going to stick to the power play guys, and then I'm going to put in the expensive power play guys, and then wait for the lineups to come out in warmups and adjust there. So I'm going to put in like a Barkov with Huberdeau and Reinhart, Barkov with Huberdeau and Giroux, something like that. And then if there's a 5-on-5 line that I like just as much, I will swap there. I'm going to definitely just hold Barkov and Huberdeau just because they're the most expensive guys. And so it would make swapping a lot easier. So if the top line ends up being like Barkov, Huberdeau, Giroux, you can fit it, no problem. But we'll wait and see what the lines are. Bruno plays some games. I think it's a lot of sportsmanship there. But if you put in the Barkov, Huberdeau with a Giroux, with a Reinhart, with a Bennett, with a Verhaeghe, he's a little bit cheaper. But as long as you get Barkov and Huberdeau in there with someone else, you can adjust to the pregame lines depending on what they are. But I do really like the Panthers tonight. I think that game-winning goal is going to get them going. I think they're going to win tonight at home. On the Capitals side, if you want to go to that top line, I think that's where I'd go. I do worry about ownership a little bit because their price is still relatively cheap. They're only 16.8 on DraftKings. They're fully correlated. Bob hasn't been the best in this series, so I think there is some merit going back to Caps one here. Maybe they'll get some lower ownership because the total's fairly low on the road, but they're fully correlated. I think that's fine. I think a nice way to get a little bit different is mix and match Backstrom in as well. On the blue lines, it's going to be Ekblad and Carlson or Mackenzie Weegar at 4,800. I think, Gustav Forsling's all right. Ben Sherratt's all right, but they're not much cheaper than Weegar, and I'd rather just get up to Weegar. A punt on the Cap side there just really isn't that much there. Maybe Dmitry Orlov at 3,300, but not a huge fan of them outside of Carlson tonight. So let's move to the last game of the night. We have the Dallas Stars with the 2.1 total heading into Calgary to face the Flames. Flames have a 3.3 total. This series is tied at 2 after the Flames won 4-1. They put up 54 shots on goal. Jake Ottinger has been excellent in this series. I would imagine he's going to be the lowest owned goalie on the slate because of the 2.1 total, but we'll get to goalies in a bit. I do like the top line for the Flames tonight. They're going to not like there's a huge matchup concern when the game is in Dallas, but game 3, like Radek Vaska gave that top line some problems. But I'm in on that top line tonight. They're going to get good matchups here, probably the Sagan, Radulov, Kiviranta line or the Ben Gurianov Raffle line, and that's just advantageous for Calgary 1. So I'm in on Calgary 1. I think push comes to shove, they might be my favorite play of the night. I do like that second line as well as a filler, Mangiapane, Backlund, Toffoli. You just got to make sure that line is the line. I think they may be popular with Pit 1 or something like that, but, check out the ownership, check out the top stacks, and you can make an educated decision there. On the Dallas side, it's probably just going to be the top line for Dallas. That being said, I'm not a huge fan. In 1 to 3, it's more of an MME play just because they're fairly cheap. They're 16,000 even in full stack, and they're fully correlated. But I feel like this is going to be a Flames game. That being said, if I was making 20 to 150, I'd definitely have some Dallas 1. On the blue lines, Rasmus Andersson probably top power play here, so he's probably the guy. Noah Hannifin's more expensive than Anderson at $4,800 on DraftKings. It's a bit pricey for Noah Hannifin. I'd rather just dump down to like a Chris Tanev or Oliver Shillington, but probably it's going to be Rasmus Andersson or Tanev for me. On the Dallas side, you can, if you're doing Dallas 1, you can correlate with Klingberg. Otherwise, it's going to be Miro Heiskanen or Esa Lindell for some salary savings. So let's get to the goalies. I talked about Igor. Still probably my favorite play of the night. He has the potential to, steal a game in any series and at any time. So Igor, GPPs for me. Cash could be a little bit tricky. I think, the cash goalie for me is going to be Jacob Markstrom at 8,200. The Stars have a 2.1 total, smallest on the slate. So I think Markstrom definitely makes some sense in cash here. I think another GPP goalie is Jake Ottinger. Despite giving up 4 goals last game, he had 50 saves. So, despite the loss, he had probably close to 20 DK points. And then Samsonov, Bob, I don't know, like maybe some Samsonov, maybe some Bobrovsky in correlated lineups, but that's really about it. So let's get to my hat trick pick. And I'm going to go to the Flames here. My hat trick pick is going to be Johnny Gaudreau. Yeah, I like Johnny Gaudreau here tonight. So that's going to wrap up today's show. As always, remember, we're sponsored by Prize Picks. Check them out. Promo code Awesemo gets you some good stuff. I will be back tomorrow. I have to record early in the morning because I'm going to be out all day. So it's going to be recorded before ownership and morning skate and that, but I will try to give you the most accurate stuff that I can give you, and I will be back with you tomorrow. Good luck tonight, everybody.